Looking at the situation in Niger following the July 2023 coup, several key themes emerge. Let's examine some of them. First, there is the strategy of the junta and regional security complexities. The Nigerian junta's adept handling of their limited resources has transformed their internal power struggle into an anti-colonial narrative. They have also exploited internal politics in their much larger neighbor Nigeria and leveraged Russian disinformation networks to portray themselves as modern-day icons like the late Thomas Sankara. While the junta seems unlikely to relinquish power, regional security concerns persist, making military intervention and thus a bloody war likely. Internally, an anti-junta sentiment is growing. An Islamist group, Nusrat al-Islam, has launched a new offensive in the west of the country, while in the east, Boko Haram still rages and the Tuaregs are restive in the north, all contributing to instability. The junta is now faced with a dilemma. Niger's counterinsurgency efforts had been successful due to the ousted president Mohamed Bazoum's use of non-kinetic methods and Western help. Success in the north was because of Bazoum's deals with the Tuaregs and EU funds which went to northern ethnic groups. The east had been held down by cooperation with Nigeria via the Multinational Joint Task Force. America provided training, equipment, and ISR support. With all of this withdrawn, the junta is now in a dilemma. Even if it goes down the Wagner route, it wouldn't be able to replicate the range of capabilities of its former partners, as language and interoperability and the time taken to get up to speed will create sufficient openings for armed groups to exploit. Additionally, neither Wagner nor the Russian states can match Western funding. It is unclear how much the junta trusts the army, how much freedom it can give it to operate, and whether or not another bunch of captains and colonels are not just waiting to knock off the old boys and seize power for themselves. Second, there is unified resistance. Amidst the Nigerian crisis, there has been remarkable coordination among Nigeria's northern political and religious elite to thwart President Bola Tinubu's endeavors in Niger. This concerted effort is as intriguing as the Nigerian coup itself. Across Nigerian media, there is a level of united and coherent messaging barely seen in Nigerian politics, focused on preventing military action, lifting sanctions, and leaving the junta to arrange a transition. The collective sentiments of the northern Nigerian elite largely mirror those of the majority of Nigerians who do not support military intervention in Niger. Some Nigerians even criticize President Tinubu for focusing on an external conflict while internal issues persist. Only a few favor a robust response to the Nigerian coup, including military intervention when needed. Nigeria has too many internal problems, but cannot risk further coup contagion. At this point, it makes sense to consider the links between northern Nigerians and Nigerians. Some parts of northern Nigeria, especially the northwest, have strong affiliations with the Niger Republic due to ethnic, social, and religious ties that go back centuries. These ties have not been dimmed by border lines drawn by British and French colonial administrators. In northwest Nigeria and the Niger Republic, it is common to see cross-national families that have interacted for generations. The Hausa, Jerma, Songhai, Fulani, and Tobo ethnic groups form families across northwest Nigeria and Niger. Their shared histories, languages, traditions, and cultural practices have created strong bonds that transcend national boundaries. Edicts written by 19th century civil servants in London or Paris did not significantly affect the bonds between West African ethnic groups that had lived, loved, fought, and intermarried with each other for centuries, and who were also bonded by religion. This shared history has created a sense of kinship between the people of the two regions, which is often stronger than the sense of loyalty to the Nigerian state. Even the immediate past president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has roots in the Niger Republic and often publicly expressed an affinity for Niger. The head of the military junta in Niger is married to a Nigerian woman from Kangiwa in Kebbi State. This shows exactly how deeply connected these groups of people are. It is therefore not surprising to see the strong opposition to the proposed use of force by the Tinubu-led ECOWAS. After the coup that ousted Mohamed Bazoum's government, ECOWAS responded by slamming the military junta with severe economic and financial sanctions. It called for the immediate release of Bazoum and gave the junta a week to meet its demands, after which it would take further measures, including the use of force. While this has prompted the Niger military junta to express a willingness to negotiate with ECOWAS, it provoked a different response amidst parts of Nigeria's north. Many protesters opposed the planned military intervention in cities like Kano and Kaduna. The protesters carried placards and chanted slogans against ECOWAS and the Nigerian government, accusing them of interfering in the Niger Republic's internal affairs. These protests and past actions confirm the strong affiliation and affection that portions of northern Nigeria have for the people of the Niger Republic, which is often stronger than they do with their countrymen in other Nigerian regions. Most of these northerners have had limited institutional interaction and bonds over the last few centuries with the Igbo, Efik, Tiv, Yoruba, and other groups that make up Nigeria, and this plays a part in the quality of harmony, communication, and understanding that is achieved in the Nigerian project. This uncommon unity with which President Tinubu's proposition has been opposed holds a lesson for any discerning observer. Considering the extensive efforts made by Tinubu and the APC to set themselves apart from the rest of Nigeria, it is surprising how quickly their coalition fell apart. This situation has left Tinubu in a difficult position, unable to label the opposition to military intervention as obedient, referencing supporters of Peter Obi, disgruntled or anti-Nigeria. This should stand as a very clear warning of what to expect. The protests in northern Nigeria are a reminder of the complex dynamics at play in the Sahel region. ECOWAS is caught between a rock and a hard place. It wants to prevent the further spread of instability in the region, but should be very careful in intervening militarily and risking making the situation worse. Finally, there is the interest of Western powers. Western powers' policies in Africa have primarily focused on managing migration, confronting geopolitical rivals, and countering terrorism, almost in that order. However, this approach has sometimes sidelined nuanced considerations or principled approaches. Thus, the Kagames, Musevinis, and others can oppress and kill their way to retain power, yet receive regular reassurance and EU, UK, US support. There is also a sense that they legitimize the spate of coups, when starting with Guinea's Alpha Conde's attempt to elongate his term in office illegally, they kept quiet, opening the door for a coup. This strategy now has ramifications as the West finds itself again associated by an otherwise potentially friendly population with a leader of questionable credibility. The risk of the junta pivoting to Russia or further destabilizing the region poses dilemmas for Western powers who are now stuck with a problem. Accommodate a junta that almost inevitably will pivot to Russia, kick them out and hold victory parades in their bases, or rely on their allies to kick them out. Unfortunately, the most reliable client, that is Chad, is under an illegitimate Western-supported government. This has not gone unnoticed. The hope for regional power is reeling under the poor economic policies of their special partner, a motivated opposition and an intra-party rebellion. Who would have known that supporting coups and rigged elections would lead to the West losing one of the last security partners? In the grand scheme, real-world dynamics unfold unexpectedly. Basically, life happens while we're busy making other plans.